Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Steven here from Epicurean Smokes. Today we're going to go through my top 25 cigars of 2024. This is a list that does not include any of the special cigars and limited releases from more popular brands that you know of in the non-Cuban world. This is my selection of the top 25 cigars that I enjoyed this year, which is a Cuban-only list. So I went through my original black book that I started over a year ago and started from the beginning of the year, including my little scrapbooking of each of the bands. And I collected the flavor notes and cigars that I'd marked as my favorites of the year. I've since upgraded to a larger cigar journal that has a bit more place for me to write and is a little more organized. In any case, let's start with number 25, the Monte Cristo Open Junior. This is a 37 by 4.3 inch Trabucos and opens with notes of hay and develops notes of coffee, nuts, leather, and it really is a beautiful profile. It doesn't have a lot of spice or bitterness. They come in boxes of 20. And I have tried them from different vintages, including as old as a 14-year vintage, and I did a review on that this year. Moving on to number 24, we have the Romeo y Julieta number 2 in tubos, and this is a 42 by 5 inch Petite Corona. They come in tubos, and so they come in a big box of these aluminum metal tubes, which is great for transporting them around with you. They have notes of chocolate, cream, espresso, and caramel. They are a milder profile, in my opinion, compared to the Romeo y Julieta number 1 or the number 3. So they're my preference. I like the milder profiles. I look for notes of hazelnut and caramel as some of my favorite tasting notes to find. So as you listen to this list, you'll notice a theme. Moving on to 23, the Cohiba Exquisitos. This is a 36 ring gauge by 4.9 inch Seoane. It has a nutty coffee and cocoa profile. It has that classic Cohiba taste, but in a slightly smaller vitola. They are still pricey for what they are, but that doesn't detract from it being a very tasty cigar. Number 22, we have the Bolivar Coronas Jr., which is a 42 ring gauge by 4.3 inch in Perlas. It's a more earthy and nutty profile with some coffee, has a subtle spice and notes of sweet wood. The next on my list, on number 21, is the H. Upmann Coronas Major. These are another tubos offering, which comes as a 42 ring gauge by 5 1/8 inch Eminentes. There are notes of coffee, wood, cedar, chocolate, and cream. It finishes with some grass, hay, and mild spice. One of these kind of classic Cuban profiles, although you'll see that theme as well throughout this list, as they're all Cuban cigars. Number 20 is the Romeo y Julieta Short Churchills. This is a 50 ring gauge by 4.8 inch Robusto. They have notes of chocolate, caramel, that progress into cappuccino and creamy floral notes. Next on the list, we have number 19, the Ramon Allones Specially Selected. This is another 50 ring gauge by 4.8 inch Robusto. It is a kind of classic nutty profile with a ginger spice and notes of cocoa powder. This one it really is a classic. If you talk to smokers of Cuban cigars, Ramon Allones Specially Selected is one that almost always comes up when people talk about some of their favorites. Number 18 on the list, the Bolivar Petite Corona. This is a 42 ring gauge by 5 inch Marevas. It has notes of brown sugar, cocoa, vanilla. There's a creamy and thick smoke, especially for such a small vitola, and it finishes bold and earthy. Number 17, the Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure number 2, which is a 50 ring gauge by 4.8 inch Robusto. This is a cigar that has notes of cocoa, vanilla, and cinnamon spice, with creaminess throughout. Number 16, the Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure Especial, 50 ring gauge by 5.5 inch Gordito. This is a light-bodied but complex smoke. The blend is more herbal than the number 2, but it has notes of coffee and sweet cream. It's earthy with a light spice toward the end. The number 15 selection is the Hoyo de Monterrey Epicure number 1, a 46 ring gauge by 5.6 inch Corona Gorda. This has a woody and aromatic profile with sweet spice. It has a salted almond note as well as a floral and fruity note. It finishes with creamy and salty caramel. That salted caramel again coming up as one of my favorite notes to find in a Cuban cigar, or any cigar for that matter. It also has notes of cedar and espresso. Many cigar smokers, especially those that are familiar with Cuban cigars, may order those 3 differently. Some have a preference between the Epicure number 2 versus the Epicure Especial versus the number 1. My preference goes with the number 1 at the top, followed by the Especial, followed by the number 2. Number 14, many favorites this year on people's lists, the Romeo y Julieta Wide Churchills. This is a 55 ring gauge by 5.1 inch Montesco. It has notes of coffee, pepper, and vanilla sweetness. It evolves a thick, complex smoke with fruit, leather, and baking spice. It has a more nutty and peppery profile with spice towards the end. Number 13, the Ramon Allones Alemania Sir Henry 2020. This is a German regional offering honoring Heinrich Williger's 90th birthday. He's the managing, or at least at the time, I'm not sure if he still is, but he was the managing director of the Cuban cigar distribution company that serves Germany, Austria, and Poland. The cigar is a 54 ring gauge by 5 7/8 inch Genialis, and it has notes of coffee, cocoa, nuts, hints of leather, wood, and hay. I love regional editions like this that have significance, and the rarity of them adds something a little special. Next on my list, we have the Por la Reñaga Petit Coronas at number 12. This is a 42 ring gauge by 5 inch Marevas. It has a light honey sweetness, salted caramel, toasted tobacco, espresso, and leather. I purchased my first cabinet of 50 this year. I was very excited about that. And so these are an interesting cigar in that they're one to let rest, ideally between 3 and 8 years, which creates a rounder and sweeter profile. But that salted caramel note is one that, again, I just enjoy so much. Next on my list, we have number 11, the Quai d'Orsay number 52. This is a 52 ring gauge by 6 1/8 inch Lanzas. It has a nice balanced medium body smoke with a nutty profile and sweet, creamy hazelnut and wood. Number 10, the Por la Reñaga Galanes. This is a 52 ring gauge by 4.75 inch Robusto. It starts off with a woody profile and notes of cereal grain. It becomes creamy with white pepper and has notes of caramel that come and go throughout the smoke. Now moving on to number 9, we have the Trinidad La Trova LCDH. This is a La Casa del Habano exclusive, and it is a 52 ring gauge by 6.5 inch Cañonazo Especial. It starts with notes of almond, coffee, and baking spice, and has a very soft, nuanced, and creamy profile. It moves on to walnut and a cedar note later on in the smoke. Number 8 is the H. Upmann Magnum 46. This is a 46 ring gauge by 5.6 inch Corona Gorda. It has notes of vanilla, cocoa, and cedar to open. It's a very mellow profile and is creamy throughout, with more cocoa, coffee, and light spice as the smoke progresses. This one also has that favorite caramel note in the middle portion. Number 7 is the Upmann Noelas LCDH La Casa del Habano exclusive. This is a 42 ring gauge by 5.3 inch Cosacos. It comes in a really nice humidor jar. The profile opens with espresso, cocoa, and cedar. There's hay on the retrohale. It's a really nicely balanced blend, and it also develops a caramel note. Told you there was going to be a theme. Next on the list, we have the Quai Coronas Claro. This is a 42 ring gauge by 5.5 inch Corona. It has notes of citrus, bread, cream, butter, hay, and oak. Has plenty of that Cuban twang that people talk about. Number 5 is the San Cristobal de la Habana Obispo. This is the Austria Regional, which is a 50 ring gauge by 4.78 inch Robusto. It's bold to start with floral, spice, and fruit, and it smooths out in the middle portion. It has, it develops the floral note without the spice, and is interesting because it's only one of 2 regionals that have ever been produced for Austria. So this one has a really nice, well-balanced profile, but it's also unique and very limited in that there were only 2 regionals thus far for Austria. Number 4 on the list is the Cohiba Siglo II. This is a 42 ring gauge by 5 inch Marevas. It has notes of cedar, cocoa, honey, light spice, classic Cuban twangy flavors of grass, hay, cafe latte, butter, hazelnut, and vanilla. I don't generally spend a lot of time on Cohiba just because the cost doesn't really make sense. But the Cohiba Siglo II is, while it's not a great value proposition at its current price, it is not as it's not as unattainable as some of the higher Siglo range. So the Siglo II is still a proper size cigar at 42 by 5, and it gives you all of the experience you're looking for in that Cohiba profile if you're like me and you enjoy that, without as big of a price tag. Anyway, moving on to number 3, the Partagás Serie P No. 2. This is a 52 ring gauge by 6 1/8 inch Pyramides. It has notes of coffee, sourdough, leather, creamy cocoa, and, you guessed it, caramel. This is a cigar that I put head to head on, days one after the other with the number 1 selection on this list, which you'll hear in a moment. The number 2 selection here is the Quai d'Orsay number 50. This is a 50 ring gauge by 4.3 inch Serie D number 5. So D number 5 is the actual factory name for this, and so you may have heard of that with the Partagás D5, but this is the Quai d'Orsay number 50 ring gauge by 4.3 inch. It has floral cedar, cream, hazelnut, bready notes, citrus, vanilla. These were made to pair with champagne and foie gras. They are really well balanced. They're overall very mild in body and strength. This is a cigar that even a non-cigar smoker, in my opinion, could enjoy. This one is one that I keep in my regular rotation. I buy multiple boxes of this, and I think that it's really special. The final selection, the number 1 selection for 2024, in my opinion, and I don't know when a cigar will knock this off of my number 1. I hope to meet it one day. But the Partagás Lusitanias, the 49 ring gauge by 7.6 inch Prominentes. It's a very complex smoke. It takes you on a tour. And I think it's just something unique about the Prominentes Vitola, but also combining that with the blend that Partagás offers. So you have this complex blend that takes you on a tour of this flavor profile. There's cedar, bread, sweet cream, vanilla, baking spice. It becomes sweet with citrus and develops a more nutty profile. It has this unforgettable salted caramel note in the middle. Then it becomes coffee laden, and it ends with a floral, cream, and wood note. It really is such a long cigar, so you really have to dedicate time to it, but it is absolutely worth it. It really just takes you on an absolute tour. So I hope that this list is helpful to you as you're exploring the world of Cuban cigars, as I have. I intend to continue updating this list year to year as I try new items, especially in 2025 as we start looking at the Legends of the Leaf series, in which I compare all of the vitolas that I have access to from each of the different Habanos marcas. I'm really excited to do this. This is one of the reasons that I started down this path, this journey of looking at all of the different cigars that I've been passionate about, but really taking the time to compare them side by side in close proximity. That way I can create rankings and help myself build out my own humidor selection with only stuff I like, because it's my humidor, right? And I want to take you along with me. So I hope this has been helpful. I wish you all the best in 2025, and thanks so much for watching.